The rain hammered against the cracked windshield of Marcus's 15-year-old Honda as he pulled into the grocery store parking lot, his 5-year-old daughter Emma bouncing excitedly in her booster seat despite the storm. He had exactly $43.17 to last them until Friday's paycheck, and every penny mattered. The math was simple and brutal. Milk, bread, peanut butter, and maybe just maybe those strawberry yogurts Emma loved so much if they were on sale. "Daddy, can we get the princess cereal?" Emma asked, her gap-toothed grin melting his heart as it always did. Marcus forced a smile, the kind that had become second nature since Sarah left them 18 months ago. "We'll see, Princess. Let's focus on the important stuff first." The automatic doors whooshed open, releasing a blast of air conditioning that made Emma shiver against his shoulder. He grabbed a cart with a wonky wheeler, the only kind that seemed available, and began navigating the familiar aisles with military precision. Every item was calculated, every price mentally tallied. This wasn't shopping, it was survival math. They were halfway through the store when Emma's small hand tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, why is the lady crying?" Marcus looked up from comparing generic versus name-brand pasta sauce to see a woman hunched over her shopping cart 3 aisles over. Even from a distance, he could see her shoulders shaking, her perfectly manicured hands covering her face. She was dressed expensively, a designer jeans, a silk blouse that probably cost more than his monthly rent, and shoes that gleamed under the fluorescent lights. "Sometimes grown-ups cry too, sweetheart," he whispered, trying to steer the cart away. Rich people problems weren't his concern, especially when he had his own mountain of them. But Emma had inherited his stubborn streak. She wiggled out of the cart, and before he could stop her, she was walking toward the crying woman with the fearless compassion that only children possess. "Are you okay, pretty lady?" Emma's voice was barely above a whisper, but it cut through the ambient noise of the store like a church bell. The woman looked up, revealing red-rimmed eyes and mascara tracks down her cheeks. She was younger than Marcus had initially thought, maybe early 30s, with a kind of ethereal beauty that belonged on magazine covers. "Oh, sweetheart, She struggled for words, clearly not used to being approached by concerned 5-year-olds in grocery stores. Marcus rushed over, his face burning with embarrassment. "Emma, come back here." "I'm so sorry, Mom." "She's still learning about personal space." "No, it's okay," the woman said, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "She's sweet. I'm having a really difficult day." Emma reached up and patted the woman's arm with the gentle authority of someone who had comforted her father through many sleepless nights. "My daddy says that crying helps the sad come out so the happy can come back in." The woman's laugh was watery but genuine. "Your daddy sounds very wise." Marcus felt his cheeks redden. "She's got quite the imagination." "Come on, Em, let's let the nice lady finish her shopping." But as they started to walk away, Marcus caught sight of what was in the woman's cart. It was nearly empty, just a loaf of bread, a jar of peanut butter, and a gallon of milk. The exact same items that formed the foundation of his own survival shopping. Something about that struck him as odd. Someone dressed like her, shopping for basics like someone counting every penny. "Daddy," Emma whispered loudly, "I think she needs the yogurts more than me." Before Marcus could process what his daughter meant, Emma had grabbed the pack of strawberry yogurts from their cart and was walking back to the crying woman. "These are really good when you're sad," Emma announced, placing the yogurts in the woman's cart with ceremonial importance. "They taste like happiness." The woman stared at the yogurts, then at Emma, then at Marcus, who was approaching with a mixture of pride and panic. Those yogurts represented a small luxury he'd been debating for 20 minutes. "Oh no, sweetie, I can't take these," the woman said, starting to lift them out of her cart. "Please," Emma said, her small hand covering the woman's. "My daddy says sharing makes everything better, and you look like you need better." Marcus found himself nodding. "She's right. Keep them, we insist." The woman's composure cracked completely. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "But these were different, cleaner somehow." "You don't understand. I can't accept charity. I don't deserve." "It's not charity," Marcus said gently. "It's what neighbors do. And we're all neighbors here, right?" For the next few minutes, they stood in aisle 7 having the kind of conversation that changes lives. The woman who introduced herself as Ilana had been having the worst week of her life. Her father had just passed away. She'd discovered her fiancé Tilda copyright was cheating, and she'd been wandering the city trying to figure out what came next. "I just wanted to buy something simple, something that reminded me of being a kid," she explained. "But I realized I left my purse at the hotel. I've been standing here for 20 minutes trying to decide if I should call my assistant or just leave empty-handed." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. He'd been so focused on her expensive clothes that he'd missed the signs he knew all too well of the hollow look of someone who'd forgotten how to ask for help. "Emma, go grab another pack of those yogurts," he said quietly. "But Daddy, we don't have enough money for 2 packs." "We'll figure it out." At the checkout line, Marcus's heart hammered as the total climbed higher than his careful calculations. $47.32. He was 15 cents short, but before he could start mentally deciding what to put back, Elena appeared beside him. "I called my driver," she said quietly. "He's bringing my purse." "But I want to pay for all of this." "For both of us." "That's not necessary," Marcus started, but Elena held up her hand. "You gave me something today that I haven't had in months," she said, her voice steady now. "You saw me as a person who needed help, not as—" she gestured vaguely at her expensive clothes, "not as whatever people usually see. That's worth more than groceries." The cashier looked between them with barely concealed curiosity as Elena produced a black credit card that made Marcus's stomach drop. This wasn't just someone with money. This was someone with serious money. Outside in the parking lot, as they loaded groceries into his beat-up Honda, Elena was quiet for a long moment. "Can I ask you something?" she finally said. "Why did you help me?" "I mean, really?" Marcus considered this while Emma busied herself arranging the yogurt cups in a precise pattern. "Honestly, because my daughter saw someone who needed help, and she reminded me that having a good heart is more important than having a full wallet. She keeps me honest about what really matters." Elena reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. "I'd like to stay in touch, if that's okay. I don't have many friends who would share their last luxury item with a stranger." Marcus glanced at the card. "Elena Rodriguez, CEO, Rodriguez Foundation." His hands went numb. "You're Elena Rodriguez, as in the Rodriguez Foundation that funds half the schools in the state." She smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen from her. "Among other things, yes. My father built the foundation. I'm still figuring out how to run it without him." Emma looked up from her yogurt arrangement. "Are you a princess?" "You're really pretty like a princess." Elena laughed, the sound light and musical. "Not a princess, sweetheart. Just someone who learned something important today about kindness from you and your daddy." 3 weeks later, Marcus received a call at the auto parts store where he worked. The Rodriguez Foundation was funding a new program providing scholarships and job training for single parents. They needed a program coordinator or someone who understood the community they wanted to serve. The job comes with full benefits, college tuition assistance, and a salary that will let you stop choosing between yogurt and rent, Elena explained over the phone. "Interested?" Marcus looked out the window at Emma playing in the daycare next door. her laughter carrying across the parking lot. Why me? Because you taught me that the most important qualification for helping people isn't having all the answers or all the money. It's recognizing that everyone deserves dignity and kindness, especially when they're struggling. You saw me as a person first, a person in need second, and everything else last. That's exactly the kind of perspective our foundation needs. 6 months later, at the foundation's annual gala, Marcus watched Emma spin around the dance floor in a princess dress that Elena had insisted on buying her. The ballroom was filled with politicians, celebrities, and philanthropists, but Emma had eyes only for her princess Elena, who had kept her promise to stay in touch. "Daddy," Emma whispered as Elena approached their table, "I told you sharing makes everything better." Elena overheard and smiled as she sat down beside them. "You know what, Emma, you were absolutely right. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes. Your dad and you saved me that day in the grocery store. And I don't just mean from crying over peanut butter." Marcus felt the familiar tightness in his chest that came with strong emotion. "We all saved each other, I think." As the evening wound down and Emma fell asleep against his shoulder, Marcus reflected on how drastically his life had changed. Not just the job or the financial security, but the friendship with Elena that had grown from that chance encounter. She'd become Emma's honorary aunt, a trusted advisor, and proof that sometimes the universe conspires to put the right people in your path at exactly the moment you need them most. "Thank you," Elena said quietly as they prepared to leave. "For what this time?" "For teaching me that billionaire or broke, we all cry in grocery stores sometimes. And we all deserve someone who sees our humanity first." She squeezed his hand gently. "Your daughter is lucky to have a father who leads with his heart." Marcus looked down at Emma's sleeping face, then at Elena, and felt a contentment he hadn't experienced in years. Sometimes the best investment you can make isn't financial at all, it's simply choosing kindness when kindness is needed most.